Another week, pre-K. How you doing? No, let's not all talk at once. Caleb, how are you doing? Good? Good, good, good. Isaac, how about you? Good. Hey, I got a story for you guys. It's by H.A. Ray. It's a book. I know that was a fast. Curious George. It is a book that even when I was a child was popular. And I've always liked this book. I don't know if you've seen it or not before, but we're going to try it today. Good old Curious George. George is a little monkey. And this is kind of the story of his beginning. Paisley, have you heard this story before? Oh. Hey, how'd you enjoy those books that I dropped off for you? Did you like them a lot? Jackson, you've been shoveling the driveway now that we got snow, or you still working in the garden? Good, good, good. What did I see? Sadie? You were doing something kind of cool I saw on the Facebook. I'll have to remember that, okay? This is George. He lives in Africa. He was a good little monkey and very, very curious. Jameson, you've been very curious? You like trying to figure out things at home? One day George saw a man. He had a large yellow straw hat. The man saw George too. What a nice little monkey, he thought. I would like to take him home with me. He put his hat on the ground, and of course, George was curious. He came down from the tree and took a look at the large yellow hat. The hat had been on the man's head. George thought it would be nice to have it on his own head, so he picked it up and put it on. Ben, what do you think? Does it fit him right? No, kind of big, isn't it? The hat covered George's head. He couldn't see, and the man picked him up quickly and popped him into a bag, and George was caught. Pretty smart trick, huh, John? You put the hat on the ground, the monkey puts it over his head. Next thing you know, monkey is caught. The man with the big yellow hat put George into a little rowboat, and a sailor rowed them both across the water to a big ship. George was sad, but he was still a little curious. On the big ship, things began to happen. The man took off the bag. George sat on a little stool. The man said, George, I'm going to take you to a big zoo in a big city, and you will like it there. Now run along and play, but don't get into trouble. And George promised to be good. But it is not easy for a little monkey to remember. Caleb, what do you think? You think he's going to stay good, or do you think he's going to get into trouble? Yeah, I think so too. On the deck he found some seagulls. He wondered how they could fly. He was curious, and finally, he had to try. It looked easy, but who can guess what's going to happen? Jackson? Maybe. Paisley? Oh, that's a good one. Isaac, do you have an idea what's going to happen? Oh, what happened? First this, then this. What do you think, Jameson? That little guy know how to fly? Let's hope he knows how to swim. Where's George? The sailors looked around and looked. At last they saw him, struggling in the water, almost all tired out. Oh, this is cute. So, look down here. The sailors are looking for him, but he's kind of underwater looking through the little porthole on the side. Man overboard, the sailors cried. And as they threw him a life belt, George caught it and held on, and at last he was on board. Looks like he had a little bit of water inside him, and maybe even some fish that he was spitting up. Think that's funny, John? I think it's a little funny. After that, George was more careful to be a good monkey, until at last the long trip was over. George said goodbye to the kind sailors, and he and the man with the yellow hat walked off the ship onto the shore and into the city to the man's house. Sadie, the man with the yellow hat, what color is his clothes? Yeah, yellow. I guess yellow is a predominant thing here because the cover of the book is yellow there. The rowboat, the floors, it's all kind of yellow. After a good meal and a good pipe, George felt very tired. Ben, you think those pajamas fit? I don't think so. He crawled into bed and fell asleep at once. The next morning, the man telephoned the zoo. George watched him. He was fascinated. Then the man went away. George was curious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, what fun. What's he doing, Caleb? Yeah, that's right. He's making a phone call. Ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling. George had telephoned the fire station. The firemen rushed to the telephone. Hello, hello. But there was no answer, and they looked for the signal on a big map that showed where the telephone call had come from. They didn't know it was George. They thought it was a real fire. Ring-a-ling, 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 ring-a-ling. What's going to happen, Paisley? Yeah, firemen. Hurry, hurry, hurry. The firemen jumped into the fire engines and on the hook and ladder, and ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling. Everyone was on the way. Hurry, 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 hurry. And it looks like they think something's going to be up. The firemen rushed into the house. They opened up the door. No fire. Only a naughty little monkey. Oh, catch him, they cried, and George tried to run away. He almost did, but he got caught in the telephone wire. The thin fireman caught one arm, and the fat fireman caught the other. You fooled the fire department. We will have to shut you up where you can't do any more harm. And they took him away and shut him up in, where's that, Isaac? Jail. Jail is right. It's prison, they call it in the book. George wanted to get out. He climbed up to the window to try the bars. Just then the watchman came in. He got on the wooden bed to catch George, but he was too big and heavy. And the bed tipped up, and the watchman fell over, and quick as lightning, George ran out the door. He hurried through the building and out on the roof. And then he was lucky to be a monkey, out where he walked on the telephone wires and quickly and quietly over the guards' heads. George walked away. He was free. Down the street outside the prison stood a balloon man. A little girl bought a balloon for her brother, and George watched. He was curious. He must have a bright red balloon. He reached over and tried to help himself. Anybody got to guess what's going to happen? Instead of one balloon, he grabbed a whole bunch and they broke loose in an instant. And the wind whisked him away. And George, what was going on with George there? Jameson? Yeah, he's floating away there. Up he sailed higher and higher. The house looked like little toy houses now, and the people like dolls, and George was frightened. He held on very, very tightly. Kind of maybe fun to fly overhead, right? But what if you keep going up and you don't come down? At first the wind blew in great gusts, then it quieted. Finally, it stopped blowing altogether. George was very tired. Down, down, down he went, boom, onto the roof of a traffic light. Everyone was surprised. The traffic got mixed up. George didn't know what to do, and then he heard someone yell, George! He looked up and saw his friend, the man in the yellow hat. George was very happy. The man was happy too. George slid down the pole, and the man with the big yellow hat put him under his arm, and he paid the balloon man for all the balloons. And then George and the man climbed in the car, and alas, away they went. to the zoo. And what a nice place for George to live. How about that? The end. How many of you guys have been to the zoo? I like going to the zoo and looking at the animals. I like it better when they have a big area where they can hang out in. You guys doing good? You guys being nice to your mom and dad? Your grandma and grandpa? Jackson, are you being nice to Grammy? Let me tell you something, Jackson. If grandma teaches you how to sew and you got a sewing machine, make sure you don't store that sewing machine out in the porch where it can get all damp and wet and mess up things, okay? Just a little advice, okay? Everybody take care. I hope to see you next week.